It is no secret that in many ways, DC's 5-year relaunch, The New 52, failed and caused many fans to stop reading the company's books. However, with DC Rebirth, it seems fans are finally getting the stories they want again. However, today I'll be explaining why The New 52 failed. Many characters were retconned or seriously changed for The New 52. Among the characters that were severely changed for the books are Stephanie Brown. She was absent for much of the relaunch but eventually came back. However, she was no longer Batgirl and was never Robin. In the new continuity, Bart Allen had some severe continuity changes and was no longer Flash or Impulse. Superboy had a very similar setup to pre-52 but had a very different story past the origin. Lobo, Barbara Gordon was never crippled, so she never became Spoiler. This took a lot away from the character, who proved, even bound to a wheelchair, she is still one of the strongest and most intelligent members of the Bat family, and a great mentor to the new Batgirls, such as Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown, who she personally had a big hand in helping shape. Tim Drake was never Robin, and the list goes on. But perhaps the most controversial change was to Superman, who was a lot more similar to Zack Snyder's darker, edgier version of the character that obviously doesn't work very well. Characters absent from the reboot include the Atom, the entirety of the JSA, Elongated Man, Aqualad, Garth, and Jackson Hyde, Ted Kord Blue Beetle, the original Wally West, Maya Durden Speedy, Connor Hawk Green Arrow, Impulse, Max Mercury, and so on. DC hoped to streamline their stories by cutting down on their core cast, but it ended up angering many of their fans because it cut a lot of DC's history between the 1940s and 1960s, as well as the 1980s to 2000s, and caused many characters we've grown to love to disappear. This will not include inconsistencies, I will get to that next, but on top of the changes to the roster, the New 52 had some strange continuity changes that really didn't need to be changed. The most annoying change for me was the shift from Martian Manhunter being the backbone of the Justice League to virtually being unused in the league, until much later when he was allowed to be on the B team. In his place was Cyborg, which was strange because Cyborg was always more of a Teen Titans character than anything else, being pushed as one of their key members for most of his existence pre-52, as well as much of pop culture such as Teen Titans and the Teen Titans Go cartoons. The only reason I can fathom this change was to add a more Iron Man-like tech character to the roster, as it was supposed to feel more modern, I guess, but that implies Batman isn't one of the biggest tech geniuses in the entire universe, so whatever. Speaking of Teen Titans, another big change to the universe was the fact that Teen Titans in this world was founded by Tim Drake rather than Wonder Girl, Aqualad, Kid Flash, and Robin, as most of those characters were retconned. The point is, a lot was changed. Another strange continuity change is the fact that the whole New 52 universe shrunk the time the world was around severely, claiming it only had Batman, Superman, and the Justice League around for 5 years at the time it all started, which leads to weird problems I will get into. Another really big change is the retconned marriages and relationships between people like Black Canary and Green Arrow, Lois Lane and Clark Kent, Barry Allen and Iris West, and so on. Many of the continuity changes were fairly pointless and caused many problems within keeping a cohesive continuity, which leads to my next point. Continuity-wise, the New 52 had a lot of problems. Some examples include the fact that Red Robin was said to be Robin, but then later we were told he wasn't. Martian Manhunter was said to be an ex-member of the Justice League during his run on Stormwatch, but it turns out he wasn't. Old versions of the Teen Titans were acknowledged, but then they said, no wait, those aren't true either. Damian Wayne was one of the most confusing parts of the continuity when you think about it, since Batman was only Batman for 5 years at the dawn of the New 52, yet he has a 10-year-old son with Talia al Ghul, which would be pretty hard to believe if he was only Batman for 5 years. It was later revealed that his age was accelerated until he was 6, but then that begs the question how in 1 year he became 6, and then in 4 years learned to be a master assassin, and then became Robin, and did all sorts of shit as Robin. That is a very proactive 5-year-old. Which also leads to the problem that Batman could no longer have Robin for much more than a year on average, as all 4 had to be squished into a time frame of about 5 years. The next big questions for fan is, did the death of Superman happen? There are many indications that it did, and many indications that it did not, so during the New 52 that was unclear. Also, Final Crisis definitely did not happen, but Batman was still absent and Dick Grayson took over. It is unclear how or for how long, but it couldn't have been all that long since Batman has only been around for 5 years. Also, one of my favorite characters, Plastic Man, was apparently split into 2 different characters. The The New 52 wanted to be a lot edgier than the old universe was. For one thing, the costumes were all changed to super battle armor, more reminiscent of the in-development Hack Snyder universe that we would later see in the Man of Steel, than the old school costumes utilized for more than 70 years before. As previously stated, Superman lost a lot of what making him a beacon of hope previously, making him a lot more depressing and edgy than ever before. If we compare this to the reboot spearheaded by George Perez and Marv Wolfman in 1985's Crisis on Infinite Earths, this reboot is clearly much less effective. In that reboot, hope was preserved along with the original cast. All that really changed was the merging of the multiverse, mainly Earth 1 and 2. The characters more or less stayed the same and were just put into a bigger playground featuring all of DC's major properties. This also made the continuity easier to balance to the original and was less confusing for readers. All in all, the DC reboot was a mess. It did a poor job reinventing these characters and really fell flat, especially considering that many of their key flagship books flopped and were quickly canceled. The continuity harmed a lot of what fans like myself enjoyed. I will give DC credit as eventually they did more or less get their shit together. However, it was too little too late in many cases, and once convergence happened, I think many fans like myself just missed the old DC universe even more. This is likely what eventually would lead to DC Rebirth, which has done a good job fixing many problems with the universe, and really was the reboot we should have gotten back in 2011. Many characters are returning, continuity is being fixed fast, and perhaps they have found a way to merge continuity in many ways, like how they merged pre-52 and New 52 Superman to more or less say yes, everything still happened in the New 52, but the pre-52 counts again. It also brought back the original Wally West and Teen Titans, and I would assume most other characters will soon follow the path of Superman and merge with their pre-52 selves. I like where this is going, and I actually look forward to reading DC more than I have since the days of Blackest Night and Final Crisis.